Hi, and welcome to Ryvis Rambles, where I talk about whatever the f I want. And in today's video, I want to talk about the anime Kaiju number 8, which is, as the name already implies, about a kaiju numbered 8. And if I'm honest, going into this anime, I didn't think I'd end up here making this video. Spoilers ahead, and if you're only interested in my opinion, you can jump to this part. This anime plays in a world where kaiju are a regular occurrence and can be a true menace at times. Since they pose a real threat, there is a trained defense force that takes care of these kaiju, but our protagonist, KAIJUU no Kafka, is not one of them. Yet. He wants to become part of the defense force, but isn't skilled enough. Yet. Instead, he works in the cleanup team and spits some real truth here.
感謝されることもない。だが、それが俺たちの日の当たらない怪獣との戦いだ。しかしこれ、マジで今週中に終わるのかよ。
I've had these exact same thoughts at my job. But all of that changes when he swallows a mini kaiju against his will and turns into a kaiju himself. Once he's discovered, he's deemed a daikaiju. There are different categories, with daikaiju being the strongest, and is named kaiju number 8. However, while all of this is happening, Kafka isn't alone. His colleague, Ichikawa, who just like Kafka works in a cleanup team but aims to join the defense force, is the first and only one who knows that Kafka is kaiju number 8. And since Kafka saves his life, he helps Kafka hide his secret. Encouraged by and together with Ichikawa, Kafka once again participates in the defense force examination and finally passes the second stage after years of failed attempts. The reason why he never gave up was a promise he made to his childhood friend and current captain of the 3rd Division, Ashiro Mina. Other exam participants of interest are Shinomiya Kikoru, Izumo Haruichi, Kaguragi Aoi, and Furuhashi Iharu. They all pass the tests, with Kafka being the worst. And while he is determined to not use his kaiju powers to pass the tests, he's more or less forced to use them in the final exam to protect Shinomiya when a real and unforeseen threat appears. Much like Ichikawa, out of gratitude and personal sympathy, Shinomiya keeps Kafka's secret under the condition that he'll never hurt a human.
もしあんたが人類に害する怪獣だって分かった時には、私があんたを殺すから。
Using his powers is not how Kafka passes though, but thanks to the mercy of Vice Captain Hoshino. While everyone else starts as an officer, Hoshino takes Kafka under his wings as a cadet, which doesn't make much of a difference because he has the same training and participates in the same missions as everyone else. And while Kafka is the weakest among them, he shines with the impressive knowledge on kaiju he collected during his time as a cleaner. However, we later learn there's more to it. Hoshino wanted to keep a close eye on Kafka because he already had a hunch that he's kaiju number 8.
日々のカフカ、スーツ適性の異常な低さといい、こいつには何か違和感がある。そばに置いて違和感の正体を突き止める。
Then we have a bit of training until it's time for the first mission, where they're confronted with kaiju number 9 for the first time. Shortly after successfully finishing their mission, 1. Kafka is promoted thanks to his contribution, and 2. They're immediately confronted with the next threat, kaiju number 10. And what was bound to happen happens. In order to protect everyone else, Kafka has to transform in front of their eyes and is captured by the 3rd Division. However, they don't kill him right away. Instead, they want to test whether he's a real human or an actual kaiju first. For that, they first check his body, and where his heart should be is actually a core, which is the weak spot of a kaiju that needs to be destroyed to kill them. So they test his humanity next, without telling him. The one testing him is the Director General himself, Shinomiya's dad. He provokes Kafka to the point that he almost loses control to the kaiju inside of him, but Kafka manages to snap out of it. In the end, they still decide to take hard facts as proof, and since Kafka contains a core, he's classified as a kaiju. However, they have yet to decide whether he's a threat or not, hence they want to utilize him as a living weapon instead of turning him into equipment as they do with other kaiju. The news spread and all his friends of the 3rd Division are relieved. Now it's on Kafka to prove on whose side he is. As mentioned in the beginning, I didn't anticipate I'd make a video about this anime at all, but it caught me so off guard with its humor, its animations, and its characters that I just couldn't help it. I need to talk about this, need to get it out of my system. First of all, the jokes are so simple and stupid at times. For example, when Kafka is being all badass one second and then super lame the next.
活できるもんならしてみやがれそうそうやっぱ蘇らないで全力解放
Or the fact that Kafka is a complete loser, even though I do respect that he never gives up despite his Though I do respect that he never gives up despite his failures. But the best moment is when he pees out of his nipples. I'm sorry, okay? I'm a simple man. What can I say? A good funny scene is when Kafka tries to escape the hospital in his kaiju form and completely underestimates his own powers, which I like this attention to detail. It's also super gory, which is kind of necessary, so Kafka can nerd about the kaiju anatomy. And since we're already talking about details, I also have to comment how realistic the kaiju anatomy appears to be. Not to mention that I just like stuff that's gory, but here it even kind of has a justified reason. And lastly, I like the conflict which is presented at the end of the season. Is someone who can transform into a kaiju still considered human? Especially since his heart has been replaced with a core. I'm very curious to see how this will play out in the next seasons, but so far Kafka has proven that his human side isn't entirely lost. However, we also have Kaiju number 9 who can transform into a human. I don't know if Kaiju number 9 has been a human before, but I don't think so. At least it doesn't perish when its vessel dies. But it just has such a human side to it when we see it in the apartment with a robot vacuum cleaner. Like, this was just too real and relatable to me, because I really want one as well. Now, let's talk about my favorite characters, which are Ichikawa and Hoshino. First of all, I love how quickly Ichikawa turned from the I don't want anything to do with anyone type to the best wife ever after helping Kafka to hide his kaiju identity. Like, I don't even think Kafka realized he's now married to Ichikawa. And I'm sorry, but there's just no better way but to describe Ichikawa as wife. There's just too much evidence. He's constantly nagging Kafka for his reckless behavior, which just is his way of showing that he cares. It's his love language.
これでよし戻ってねえよさっきも事務所でニュース見ましたもっと自覚持ってくださいいや分かった悪かったよ早速力使ったなお前もうちょっと自分を大切にしろよなあんたもなあ市川なぜここに勝手に飛び出していって案の定派手に変身してるし先輩無事でよかったそりゃこっちのセリフだろバカ
And then we have Hoshino. I wasn't quite sure how to feel about him at the beginning. I mean, I already liked that he didn't take his job too seriously. For example, when he wants to keep Kafka on the grounds of him being a funny guy. Even though we know it's not the whole truth, but I do believe the ratio is like 70-30.
僕が取ります。確かに彼は成績は平均以下。単位としては不合格や。けど、最終審査の実践の中で敵の急所を見つけ、自分の点数より他者の援護を優先し、討伐に貢献した。お笑い要員として素晴らしい働きを見せた。やっぱそれですか
What really pushed him into my favorites was seeing him fight. That, similar to Kafka, he had a bit of a struggle. Not as bad as Kafka's in my eyes, because Hoshino is actually skilled, but since he can't properly wield firearms, it still was a hard way for him to be accepted. So to sum it up, I like Hoshino because he's a fun, easygoing and competent character who's had it rough. Oh, and because of his twink vibes. But I don't think I need to elaborate on that. Nothing but love for him. I also took a liking to Aoi and Harichi, who I've dubbed the Muscle Boys, but only because they're very shippable and I love to see them on screen together. And last but not least, we have Shinomiya's dad, who I don't like at all, but I appreciate that he's wearing eyeliner. You can try to change my mind, but no other character has such defined eyes. And I think Shinomiya's dad is absolutely rocking it. Props for that. If you've already watched Kaiju number 8, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If listening to random people talking about random stuff on the internet appeals to you, leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any topics you'd like to hear me ramble about, leave your suggestion in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye!
お手柄や。